Hey tasters! Recently I visited Vlassides winery and had the opportunity to sit down and talk to Mr. Sophocles Vlassides himself. We talked about the indigenous varieties of Cyprus, the future of Cyprus winemaking, a little bit of history, a little bit of viticulture. It's a really fun interview. I hope you enjoy it. Stick around until the end. After the interview, I want to show you some examples of wines made with these indigenous varieties. I'll see you in 5 minutes. The winemakers of Cyprus are working with the indigenous grapes a lot more than before, and we see new varieties, not just Xynisteri and Mavro and Commanderia, which is a blend of the two, but I can see Giannoudi is hitting and Ofthalmo maybe as well.
Morokanella for whites, Promara and things
Spourtiko.
that, yes, Spourtiko. And wines that basically, varieties that we didn't even know that they existed, because that is the truth. There is a misleading in the market, saying that the government uprooted the vineyards, so that's why these varieties were lost.
Okay.
This is not true.
This is not true. Okay.
These varieties were never used in vineyards, so they were just plants in between Mavro and Xynisteri. So they were never vineyards of Yiannoudi, Maratheftiko, Promara by their own.
Okay.
So back in the 90s, basically, Galet came in Cyprus. Kio basically brought Galet, and he discovered these varieties. That basically he discovered the vines, and Kio took the cuttings, basically planted these varieties in Maya, close by.
Was this the project that
Zambartas
Akis Zambartas
yes.
was involved
Yes.
in? Yes.
So in this way, they managed to keep these varieties not to be lost. No wines, though, were made from these varieties from any winery or anybody before. If I remember well, around 10 years ago, the Ministry of Agriculture did a collaboration with Kio, where they did some experimental wines out of these varieties. And they presented to us as winemakers, and we were like thrilled when we saw the results, especially when you are producing small quantities. It's more difficult to produce good wines. Yes, if it's in small scale, it's more difficult to produce good wines than in certain larger scale.
Okay.
Talking about 100 liters of wine instead of being 2,000 or 3,000 liters of wine.
There's no room for error.
Yes. So when they presented these wines, we all said, oh, something is happening here. Let's go. And that's where basically we started planting the vineyards. And you have to think about this. You are planting a vineyard now, and you're going to have results after 4 or 5 years of grapes, and then maybe wine after 7 years. So even though we found out 10 years ago, the wines are coming out now in the market. And we're going to see much better things after 5 or 10 years from now.
So in your experience, which of our indigenous grapes is the one that's the fussiest in the vineyard, the most problematic to cultivate?
All of them.
All of them.
Unfortunately,
Xynisteri is easy,
Xynisteri is easy, yes. So Xynisteri for me is the variety that we have to give the more attention nowadays.
I agree.
To improve even more the quality of Xynisteri, as well as to produce other products as well. Example, the single vineyard of Zambartas.
Yes, it's beautiful.
Yes, a wine with a different character, a wine that can age. So these kind of wines should be produced from more winemakers as well.
Yes.
This is what we are doing as well.
I have actually also tasted aged Xynisteri at Chakas, and that was really remarkable as well.
I have to say that Petritis from Kiperunda was actually the first Xynisteri that was different. The use of oak, the small use of oak in the wine, and the aging potential that this wine can have, which we tasted, old vintages of Petritis, and they were excellent. So it's a thing of the way of production as well as part of marketing as well, which is very, very important to show people that this is a different product.
Yes.
Yes, separating from the mass Xynisteri in a way. And this is what we have to do. Going back though to the question is that Xynisteri and Mavro are actually the two varieties that they don't have any problem in the vineyards. Maratheftiko, Giannoudi, Morokanella, even Spourtiko, they are actually varieties that they do have big problems in the vineyards, especially on their flowering part. So the yield that a hectare of land can give you in these varieties is quite low, yes? So the production is low because of the loose bunches that you are ending up with Maratheftiko and Yiannoudi and Morokanella. And this is actually a problem that leads to expensive products, which doesn't mean that expensive is also good. Yes, okay. It's unbalanced basically, price and quality.
Yes.
That we have to basically get into that and try to fix it. Either get a quality that is extremely good and is
justifying
the price, or solving the problem in the vineyards and raising the yield.
Hey guys, welcome back. I hope you enjoyed that interview. As many of you know, the two main grape varieties of Cyprus are Mavro and Xynisteri. However, in this interview, we also mention 6 grape varieties that are less well known but equally fascinating. And I've got examples of wines made of these grape varieties right here. So let's discuss each one. This is a white variety, aromatic, zesty, bright, perfect for salads, perfect for seafood. It's made of a grape variety called Morokanella. This example is made by Akis Zambartas Winery. This is another white variety from a grape called Spourtiko. It's very, very light, very, very bright. It tastes unlike any other white wine you've ever tasted. This one is made by Kollios Winery. Highly recommended, perfect summer wine. This wine is made of a variety called Promara. This particular wine is made by Vouni Panaya. It's a very individual white variety, very unusual aromas. I would enjoy this on its own because I wouldn't want anything to interrupt the tasting. Let's move on to the 3 red varieties mentioned. This is an example of an Ofthalmo red dry wine. This is made by Nelion Winery. Ofthalmo is very rare, both as a grape and as a wine. It's a very light red wine, not a lot of tannins, a little bit reminiscent of Pinot Noir, but not quite as earthy. It's worth trying and it's a very unique example. This example of Maratheftiko is made by Ezusa. Maratheftiko is tannic, fruity, perfect with steak, a little bit spicy, a powerful red, very bold, a little bit rustic. It's a favorite here on the island. It's our quintessential red grape varietal. And the last red is the new kid on the block, everybody's favorite new red varietal from Cyprus. It's called Yiannoudi. This is the variety most likely to knock Maratheftiko off its throne, but it's so new we have to wait and see. There are in fact no more than 4 bottles in the entire market in Cyprus right now. Some of them only available at the wineries themselves. Yiannoudi is tannic, noble, deep fruit, dark color, smooth tannins, but ever present. A lovely wine by any account. Our last bottle is very, very well known. This is Petritis by Kyperunda Winery. It's a varietal wine made of Xynisteri. This bottle is very important because Petritis is the first example of a Xynisteri wine aged in oak. Kyberunda Winery demonstrated that Xynisteri doesn't have to be a light summer white. They aged Xynisteri, they developed flavors and aromas and complexity. This bottle is really worth trying. So there we have it, guys. This was a short introduction to some of the indigenous grape varieties of Cyprus and wines that our winemakers have been making using these grapes. I really highly recommend that you try something new this week. Give these local grape varieties a try. You will not be disappointed. If you've enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up. Leave a comment if you've tried any of these wines, and if you haven't already subscribed, please hit the red button below. Cheers, tasters! I'll see you on the next video.